Hi everyone, this is Erica McLaughlin, principal at Randolph Elementary School, here with Joelle Van Lent, Pat Miller, and David Roller. Joelle Van Lent is a licensed psychologist with over 20 years of experience working with children, families, and child-serving agencies. Dr. Van Lent has expertise as a therapist, clinician, evaluator, consultant, and trainer. Her work focuses on child and adolescent mental health, family therapy, trauma, and autism spectrum disorder. Dr. Van Lent's approach is geared toward fostering resilience and creating communities that support healthy development. She is currently in private practice based in the northwestern part of Vermont and works across the state with schools and agencies. She does work with us and our staff and has for the past few years. And so we have this recording that we hope you will find helpful in supporting the work that the schools are doing as well as what you're doing at home. We're going to ask her a few questions.
So Joelle, a lot of families are worried about the impact of COVID and all of the changes that children have had to endure in the past year. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I know that parents are really focused on protecting our kids from a negative impact of this in any way that we can. And one of the things that I think has been important, but maybe hard for us to accept as parents, I mean, I'm parenting kids through this as well, so I share that, is that our kids are going to end up gaining resilience from this, and they are going to end up at some point back at the point where they would be developmentally, like socially, emotionally, academically, where they would be had this not happened. So it's important to say that our kids are going to get back to that point. But the thing that I think is hard for us to accept is that it's going to take longer than we might want it to. And the best way for us to actually to kind of protect them from negative impact is to not be so rushed about how we kind of move through this. So for example, as we move through this, we want to think about what are the priorities for our family and our kid right now at this phase. And sometimes those priorities are going to be that we as a family are getting more sleep, or that we are getting more social time, figuring out creative ways to stay connected socially, that we are, maybe other times academics will be the priority. But I think parents need to feel like they have, I guess, permission to look at their kids and how old they are and how this is impacting them, and kind of reprioritize what might be most important for them in that phase. Because in the long run, our children are going to be sort of the most like resilient or healthy if we felt like we could kind of move around those pieces as the kids that are in front of us seem to need. So for example, I have teenagers at home, and I might be very worried about them staying caught up with the hybrid learning or the remote aspects of their learning. But if they're starting to feel really lonely and really isolated, and I know that social connection is so important for teenagers, I might actually prioritize a creative way for them to be connected socially over their academic work that week, because that is becoming sort of what they need to stay healthy and to stay feeling motivated and to stay feeling well. And once I feel like we've kind of gotten that back into the rhythm, we can go back to and shift that focus. So I guess one thing I worry about is that parents are going to feel somehow like they're not doing the right thing if they're not doing the same thing as like their extended family or neighbors or other people they're talking to. And so we really want to feel like we have sort of permission to parent the kids that are in front of us and move those pieces around, and also talk to the school. Like, you all are very available to them and thinking about this every day. And so I think feeling like you're not alone in this as a parent, and kind of using your school, your teachers and counselors and principals as sounding boards. Like, this is what I was kind of thinking about doing. What do you think? Is going to reduce the isolation that the parents are feeling as they're trying to make these decisions, because there is no one real right answer.
Right.
So Joelle, what do you say to parents who are concerned about their children falling behind academically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that the reality is that because this is going to end up being such a prolonged situation, like we're already into the 9th month, and it's not going to end, tomorrow, that the kids are going to catch up academically to where they would be had this not happened. But many of them will not actually catch up to where they would be had this not happened this year. And that's okay. I can say as a clinical psychologist, as a child psychologist, that if we try to race to get them caught up, that could actually be a mistake and make it take longer. So basically, this year, this school year, we are not necessarily going to live through a pandemic, which is new to all of us, get the kids caught up from the impact of last spring, where they were fully remote unexpectedly and very stressed, and get them back to where they would be had this not happened academically by June. It's not necessarily a fair thing to expect of the kids, of the families, and of the schools. And to try to do that the reason we would try to do that is because we absolutely love these students and kids, and we want this to not impact them. We want to protect them. But to try to do that quickly, in my opinion, could be a mistake, because again, it distracts us from being able to give them what we think they need in the day and the week and the phase that we're in. And we're going to move the priorities around. Health and safety is first, emotional and social connection and well-being is second, academic is third right now. That doesn't mean that we're not doing interesting, engaging, and challenging learning. That is actually good for our kids, to be learning in really new and challenging ways, because it distracts their brain from stress when they're doing fun learning. So we're absolutely going to teach great stuff all year. But the pace at which we expect the students to move through in these circumstances of remote and then hybrid and then remote and then full, it keeps moving, so that the pace that we expect them to go wouldn't be fair if we say that what matters is how quickly they're caught up. That doesn't actually that shouldn't actually be the most important thing. The most important thing is that we get them through this and then back to where they would be had this not happened. So I would predict that if you think about the children in your schools as a big group, it's definitely going to take well into next year before we're going to get them to where they would be had this not happened. And I think that's absolutely okay. I am not worried about that, because this is not a race. This is a pandemic. We're all experiencing this. All of the children in our state, all the children in our country, all the children in our world are experiencing this. And so I want to sort of give parents and teachers permission together to keep talking, keep the lines of communication open, and understand that we're prioritizing based on kind of, how this goes, and that it's okay if it takes a little bit longer, because they'll be emotionally and socially healthier if we're going at a pace that is measured by what the kids seem to need, as opposed to some idea that we're going to protect them from impact, which I think could kind of get in our way, actually.
Thank you. That's so helpful to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Joelle, very much for your time. Appreciate your insights about all of this, really.
Yeah, thanks for the great questions.